A poem by Richard Wilbur, a poet whom hopefully we will meet again in this series. He was the poet laureate of the United States. And the poem today is a poem called Digging for China. Digging for China. Far enough down is China, somebody said. Dig deep enough and you might see the sky, as clear as at the bottom of a well, except it would be real, a different sky. Then you could burrow down until you came to China. Oh, it's nothing like New Jersey. There's people, trees, and houses and all that, but much, much difference. Nothing looks the same. I went and got the trowel out of the shed and sweated like a coolie all that morning, digging a hole beside the lilac-bush, down on my hands and knees. It was a sort of praying, I suspect. I watched my hand dig deep and darker, and I tried and tried to dream a place where nothing was the same. The trowel never did break through to blue. Before the dream could weary of itself, my eyes were tired of looking into darkness, my sun-baked head of hanging down a hole. I stood up in a place I had forgotten, blinking and staggering while the earth went round and showed me silver barns, the fields dozing in palls of brightness, patens growing and gone in the tides of leaves, and the whole sky china blue. Until I got my balance back again, all that I saw was China, China, China. Now, of course, this poem is about praying. This poem is about kneeling on hands and knees. And what we are praying for is some kind of vision, some kind of gaze at something different, something new, something real, something not of the ordinary, something not of the everyday reality of New Jersey. You might say that this is a version of the well-known observation that the grass is always greener on the other side. But when we get to the other side, we find out that indeed it is not greener, and we're always looking for the next other side. And we say every day in prayer, HaMechadesh B'tuvo B'chol Yom Tamid. The world is always new. It is new by virtue of the fact that God is renewing it in His goodness every day, at every moment. Maaseh Breshit. Now, this poem, of course, is reminiscent of a well-known Hasidic teaching. It is based on a would-be story. The teaching is told differently by different masters. Some ascribe it to Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, others to Rabbi Simcha Binim of Pshischa. But the tale itself is well known. A poor, indigent Jew without a penny to his name dreams one night that his father comes to him and says, go to the capital city, go to near the king's palace, go search under the bridge that leads to the palace, and if you dig deep enough, if you dig deep enough, you'll find a treasure. And the dream repeats itself twice and thrice, and eventually the Jew decides to honor the dream. And he sets out walking, of course, because he can't afford a carriage, and walks days on end till he comes to the palace, to the bridge leading to the palace. And he sees a place under the bridge that looks likely it was the same site that he saw in the dream of his father. And he realizes that it's guarded. Of course, the entrance to the king's palace is guarded, and he doesn't know what to do. He goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back, until a soldier notices him and says, "Jew, why are you here?" Nothing to lose, he tells the guard the story. And the guard laughs at him and says, "Foolish, foolish man. If I listened to every dream that I had, why, my father came to me in a dream a few times and said, 'Go to such and such a village.'" Oh, it happened to be the name of the Jews' village. "And dig under the kitchen floor." The floor is, of course, dirt. "Dig under the kitchen floor of Yankel ben Chaim." Now, I don't even know what Yankel ben Chaim means, said the guard, but it must be the name of the Jew, and you'll find a treasure there. The Jew, whose name happened to be Yankel ben Chaim, thanks the guard and says, "Indeed, it was foolish," goes home and digs in his kitchen floor and finds the treasure. The meaning of this is variously said in two ways, both of which may well be true, although they're very different. One is that there's a tragedy that we have to go far afield into the wide world looking for that which is indeed found at home. A tragedy. The other version, the other explanation is, indeed, the treasure is always at home, but the only way we can find it is by going far afield and realizing where it is to be found. These two interpretations take them as you will, but what the poet is expressing is there's somebody who's bored to death, if you will, by New Jersey. What is there in New Jersey, right? I remember as a kid the saying, if you dig a hole deep enough, you'll get to China. And this child takes it seriously, and he's looking for the grass is greener, where everything is more wonderful, where everything is just, oh, it's nothing like New Jersey. What is there in China? There's people, trees, and houses and all that, but much different. Nothing looks the same. And in this process of digging, all he finds is darkness all the time until after all this digging, he stands up in a place he had forgotten. Oh, we live in that place day by day, but we forget where we are. We take it for granted rather than taking it with gratitude. That place happens to be New Jersey or wherever we are. Wherever we are. And this getting up and recognizing the wonder of where we are is expressed Jewishly in the long list of blessings that we say to greet the dawn. Ah, I can stand, I can see, I can move, I stand on firm earth. All wonders that we, who would rather than wander looking for someplace else, have taken for granted. And the brachot, the blessings we say, are an expression of gratitude for recognizing that every day is a first time, is a new blessing. To step out of commentary and into a poem that I've written called First Times, Modeh Ani. I give thanks with gratitude. We all want to be surprised. And the poem begins, surprises only happen the first time, never dulled by done that or blunted by been there. So when forests fill with fire and rivers run over banks, make sure to save them. A momentary list, a birth cry, yours or hers, celebrating the luminous light, the touch of a breast when tongue discovered taste, and you were one once more, a stumbling step on the way to everywhere, and sometimes beyond. Tomorrow, though all is gone in flame or flood, perhaps you will raise the dawn. Pokeach ivrim, shuffle to a kitchen, hamechin mitzadei gaver, and drink your coffee, sha'akol niyeh bidvaro. And by God, the world will surprise you once again, nach einmal, for the first time. And so, our young man gets up, as we said, rises from kneeling, and rises in a place I had forgotten. And it's full of light, shining. And the grass is as green, if you will, as green can get. And all I saw was, all that I saw was China, China, China. And the poem ends. And of course, Jewishly, we recognize that we say this every day, a number of times every day. China, China, China. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy, holy. China, China, China. This is the world that God created. Of course, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy is a pasuk of the vision, a verse in the prophet Yeshaya, Isaiah, of the verse. It is the verse in which the great vision, Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvakot, holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Melo chol haaretz kvodo. His glory fills the entire earth. Wherever you are, there is the glory of God. Holy, 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 China, China, China. All I saw was China, China, China. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Hashem Tzvakos. Melo chol haaretz kvodo. And this vision is the vision of man who enters the world every day and recognizes the beauty of the world. You don't need to dig to China, nor in China do you need to dig to New Jersey. One has to only look around and see the goodness of God, the glory of God that infuses all of creation. I'll tell you a story now. I'll end with a story. My wife and I went about 22 years ago to Cadillac, to Leucadia National Park in Maine. Wonderful national park. And walking around or driving around in the national park, I saw a sign that said, with an arrow, Cadillac Mountain. Cadillac, something. And it said, the place that you can see the sun rising in North America. You'll be the first person in continental North America to see the sun rising over the ocean. I got up at some, what one might call an unearthly hour, and drove up to Cadillac Mountain, figuring I would be the only person who were to see this. And I got to the top, and behold, there are many cars already parked, and people with their cameras ready. That's before cell cameras taking pictures. And okay, I sat down on a boulder waiting for the sun to rise. I sat down on a boulder waiting for the sun to rise. And behind me, there was a row of very sober looking young people. They all seemed to be blonde and blue eyed and were sitting very, very, uh, disciplined fashion. When the sun rose, it rose to the click of cameras. Everybody taking a picture of the sun rising. I imagine they intended to show these pictures to some group of people who would want to see what Cadillac Mountain was like, what Maine was like, what their vacation was like. And behind me, there rose as one a row of very somber young people who raised their hands and shouted out, "Glory be to God, for his mercy endureth forever." And believe it or not, they didn't take a picture, but they said a blessing.